Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hi, babies. Oh, hey, Bun. Are you excited? Hey, Bun Bun. Hi, baby. Hello, everybody. Alright. So, first thing in the morning is get Bullseye his medication. I have to do it first or else I will forget. Good boy. And then everybody gets either half of a vitamin C tablet or half of the urinary support. If you're looking to add a tablet into your guinea pig's diet, I highly recommend the vitamin C. There you go. Seymour gets a whole one. There you go. There you are, sweeties. Hi, sweetheart. There you go. Hi, guys. Hey, babies. Hi, sweetie. Hi, girls. There we go. He's been such a good boy to give this to. That's good. Gotta see if he's done chewing. Yep, you ready? Good Bun Bun. Good boy. You get your banana next? Good boy. Oh, you gotta put it on your little stool there. Okay. So the next thing I gotta do for everybody is spot clean. So this is my, sorry, just woke up. This is my plexiglass that I have sitting up here so that Angus doesn't jump. Have not seen him attempt to jump again, but it's always better safe than sorry. He is a little bouncy baby. And if you did ever jump over and was on the floor, like, that's a far way down, and he would be injured. So I just cleaned them out last night. It's Wednesday right now. Oh. So when I tidy them up in the morning on a Wednesday or like Saturday morning after cage cleaning, it's always the easiest because they're not too dirty yet. Like when I clean them out tomorrow, spot clean them tomorrow, that's the day when I change out beds and like these 1x2 pads. But today we just have to sweep up all the poops. And there's always lots of those with these guinea pig boys. How are you today, guys? So Bullseye in the morning, he's usually the most impatient pig I have. He's even more impatient now without dear Kelvin. For some reason, he must have held off for while I was helping Kelvin out, because Kelvin took a bunch of time in the morning at first. Like, I had to give all his medications, sometimes give him a bath. But now without my little baby Kelvin, Bullseye is so impatient for you to hurry up and give him his stuff. So he's always been a really loud, anxious pig, and you can hear him starting already. But if you're not quick enough with him, he starts to chew the bars like really hardcore in one spot until you give him his stuff. Sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating. Okay, so they're tidy. So I put this right back on because, you know, I'm gonna be getting them pellets and I'm gonna be getting them veggies, and I don't want Angus to be getting too hyper and jumping. See, like, he's so funny. He's so adorable. So to keep them cool while I'm cleaning up everybody else, after I tidy one cage, I give them their pellets so that they have something to do. So every pair gets a quarter cup to share. There you go. So that'll keep them occupied for a bit, because otherwise you would hear Bullseye chewing. Bun gets his pellets. I give his morning and night, and he only gets a total of 1/8 of a cup. Because he is a tiny bunny. He's only 3.3 pounds. Okay, so next up, hello, is Apple and Huckle. Aww. Sometimes mornings can be slow when you see sweet little faces that want to be pet. Hi, love. You're so sweet. All right. Excuse me. So these guys are kind of like the rest of the pigs. Their poops are mainly just up where they're eating and stuff. Hi, cuties. Hi, Hucky. What are you doing, baby boy? Excuse me, Miss Apple. Pardon me. So after I get everybody tidied up and everything, I give out their vegetables. And then while they're eating their vegetables, I can check on their waters, and I usually maybe put a load of laundry in. There we go. Beep, beep, beep. So these guys give a touch less than a quarter cup. Sometimes Apple has a bit of calcium in her pee. Like, it's normal for all pigs, but sometimes she has a bit extra. And these two do love their pellets. Alright, hi pretty girls. Hi babies. So these girls are kind of like the last cage. Few poops back here, but most of it's all up where their hay is. So generally speaking, they're pretty quick to tidy too. How are you, ladies? You gonna go hide? A lot of people are saying how they wish they could pet their piggies in the cage like I pet mine. Just so you guys know, I can't pet everybody in the cage. Like Nanook here is one of them that I cannot touch in the cage. Yep, there she goes. I can't touch Nanaimo or Raisin in the cage either. Some pigs, like, their cage is their safety zone, and they're prey animals, so some pigs just really do not like you reaching in trying to touch them in their cage where they want to feel safe. Because you got to think from their perspective, we look like a pretty big tall thing reaching for them, so it is scary. Reese has started to let my husband and I pet her in the cage. Not every time, but if you go really slowly, she has started to let us. Nanook, I just not sure if she's ever going to get there. She's really iffy. She's extremely sweet once you have her out on your lap. But in the cage, she just has not changed. Which is okay, because when you have a bunch of piggies, they're all so different that you get used to the ones that let you pet them in the cage, and you just deal with the ones that don't want you to. Ain't you pretty? So Nanaimo and Raisin, as I said, they're another pair that there's no hope for me touching them while they're in the cage, which is fine. And Nammy and Raisin are both pretty good when you take them out of the cage. Raisin gets a little bit iffy after a few minutes, but Nanaimo really likes when you're sitting holding her, so it's all good. If I can't touch her in the cage, that's alright. Because I have Bullseye you can touch in the cage whenever you want. Pecan you can. Angus is starting to let me touch him, just kind of like Reese, where sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Huckle and Apple I can pet whenever I want. Littlefoot you can touch, but he really doesn't like to be pet. And then Reese, as I said, like she's just starting to let us touch her. So it's all good. So don't be discouraged if your pigs are not a fan of being touched in the cage. And even the pigs that absolutely love me to touch them in the cage, they still are not fans of being picked up. That's something that like most pigs are never going to want you to do. Even Kelvin, in the end, who was picked up a million times a day, still half the time he was not wanting me to pick him up, even though he was so used to it. It's just their natural instinct to not want to be picked up and taken away. So it is weird in mornings without Kelvin. I do not like it. It's sad to me sometimes, like how quickly you get into a new routine. It just kind of sucks that you have to carry on without them, and then you get used to your new routine and stuff, and it just seems sad. But then I have to stop and remind myself that he had an awesome life. He was a senior and made him as comfortable as possible for as long as I could. And then the day where he was not comfortable anymore and going downhill, I took him to say goodbye so that he didn't have to suffer. Never really talked about it in a video yet. Just I posted on Facebook roughly what happened and just haven't felt like talking about it. It was a pretty big loss when he left. Just was so used to having him around and so used to loving on him every day that it stinks without him. So now my next pigs that are seniors, Bullseye, Littlefoot, and Pecan. Littlefoot and Pecan get less than a quarter cup as well. Pecan has some crystally pea. So her body just makes the calcium when it's coming out more crystally, more sludgy. So I have 4 water bottles in their cage, and I give them less pellets too. And so far, like, nothing's happened with it. Some pigs can just be chronic with crystally sludgy urine and nothing happens. Others, eventually one day it could turn into a stone. A lot of the stones are just genetics and just how the pig's body reacts to the calcium in their bladder and stuff like that. Because we are on, obviously, the low calcium diet and have filtered water and all that stuff. So for her, I'm just hoping that even though she has some sludgy urine once in a while, that and it's not going to turn into anything else, and that she'll just pee out the calcium and it won't sit in her bladder, because at least she's getting it out. It's just when they're peeing out really gritty stuff, it can hurt. But that's what happens when you have a lot of pigs that are like from unknown genetics that you adopt and rescue. You never know what kind of medical issues or health issues you'll come across. So Pecan has been to the vets in regards to her sludgy urine, and also she was at the vets because she had the bloat, and we did do an x-ray which showed that she had no stones. And it also did show that there was no sludgy buildup in her bladder. So that's a good thing. So at least it is coming out. It just sucks at the time because it'll make her cry when she's peeing, but only a couple times until she gets all that sludge out. And then also the one time there was some blood in her pee. So we had been at the vets and did a urine test and all that stuff. And it definitely wasn't a UTI or anything like that. It's just she gets that sludge in there, and when it comes out, see if there was a spot here. I think there was on one of these pads. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that. That's not very much, which is good. Sometimes it's quite the clump of, it looks like chalk, just like a little pile of white chalk. Some of that's normal, absolutely normal for pigs. But if they're doing it a lot, or it's a big clump, like it's something to watch. If you don't have them on a low calcium diet and you're noticing that, please make changes while you still can. For Pecan, as I said, like there's really no other changes I can do. I just try to up her water content. And then with taking the pigs out for floor time, that's a good thing to get things moving. Sometimes it's when she's out for floor time that she actually starts to cry when she pees, and it's because lots of that buildup's coming out because she's bouncing around and it's getting moved around and coming out. So it's a good thing it's coming out, but it sucks that her body makes it so chunky that it hurts her. But as I said, it's better that it's coming out than staying in. And it's not all the time, it's just once in a while. And as I said, we've already been to the vet about it, so that I know it's not a UTI, because if your pig was crying when they're peeing or has blood in the urine, that could be a UTI or bladder stone, so you have to rule out those things first. Okay, so I just washed my hands, and now it's veggie time. I think everybody's favorite time. So I gotta get my containers set up again. I felt lazy last night, so I didn't know I'll put them in containers, so I gotta kind of do some chopping this morning. So first thing is lettuce. I give every pair about 2 really large leaves or 3 smaller leaves. And I use either red or green leaf lettuce. I personally never use romaine, because romaine is one of those things that you can notice it gives your pigs really gritty pee. Back when I first had Rugby, he was my pig with the bladder stone. He came from a really high calcium diet. And when I got him here, I still fed romaine, and he had gritty pee all the time. And I wish at that time that I knew romaine could cause that, because I would have never fed him romaine lettuce. So that's just a tip for you. If you thought your pigs were having lots of gritty pee and you are low calcium diet, but you do feed stuff like romaine, I would try switching it up and see if you notice a difference. It's the same with cilantro, I heard. That's why I don't feed cilantro after Butterscotch got her bladder stone, because a lot of people said the same thing about it, that it can give your pigs really sludgy pee. I used to do cilantro like 3 times a week, and that was the only thing that kind of had a bit more calcium in it. And then Butterscotch had got a bladder stone, and that was the only thing in the diet that I was like, that's what I'm gonna take out. But again, like, not everything's diet. A lot of it can be genetics and just how their body makes the calcium go. Okay, Mr. Bun. After Bun's ate his pellets and stuff, sometimes he takes a while before he feels like eating his veggies. So I just gotta go rinse these off. So if you guys wanted to know if you're feeding high calcium veggies, a great food chart is on Guinea Links that shows calcium content for stuff, and it shows like what's really high in calcium. So those are the things you should probably avoid or feed very seldom or in small quantities. And then it shows you stuff that's like average or low that you could feed daily. So generally speaking, the things that are highest in calcium are the dark leafy, really dark green things. So like herbs are pretty high in calcium, kale, spinach, things like broccoli have a lot of calcium. So if you're wondering, that's where I would go to check it out. Here, bud. There's your radicchio. Yes, buddies. So now I just given out radicchio. At the grocery store, a lot of the cashiers don't know what radicchio is, so they end up putting it in with a different code, and most of the time, whatever code they did put it in, I got it for cheaper. So, there were times where I said like, oh, you didn't put that in for the right thing, because I felt bad. But then, whatever. If they don't know what it is, they should just ask. So the one day I was there, usually buying like 2 or 3 radicchio at a time is about $9. And the one day they put it in as some chin lettuce. I don't even know what that is. And it was only $2.80 for my 3 radicchio. So I was like, woo woo. And I had 2 bags of bell peppers, which usually like each bag is about $9 because I have like 4 or 5 peppers in there. And she put it under the broccoli code, so it was just $2.50 for each bag. And again, I was just kind of like, well, I'm not the cashier, and she can easily look that she didn't put the right code in, because obviously everybody knows that green peppers aren't broccoli. But she didn't change it, so I didn't say anything, because I was like, it's cheaper for me, and if she's not going to change it, that's her thing. I used to be a cashier once, and I guess maybe there's times where you're just like, if the person's not going to say anything, you just don't feel like correcting it. I don't know. I know that would happen like if you rang apples in, and it wasn't the exact type of apples, you just sometimes didn't care. But that was also because I was younger and didn't care. So I get it. They're just like, whatever, if that person's not going to say anything, I'm not going to change it because I don't feel like looking up the code. It's their thing. And radicchio can be expensive sometimes, so getting it for cheaper a couple times. Or a lot of the cashiers will ring it in as red cabbage, which is just like a price, like you have to pay for radicchio at my grocery store per pound, where red cabbage is just a price per cabbage. So I've had that too, and it usually works out for a better deal in my favor. There you go. So these are grape tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, whatever they're called. And I just use one big one per pair and cut them into 4 or 6 slices. Tomatoes are acidic, just like apples. And you would, or apples or oranges, the things like that. So you don't want to feed a large quantity. Just a little taste every day is not going to hurt. But you wouldn't want to be giving them large amounts. And I also feel like since I give the tomatoes with the rest of their veggies, that's going to help kind of move it around so that it's not sitting in their mouth causing a sore, because it's going to be getting washed down right away. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I feel like. Because if it just ate their tomato as just a snack, guinea pigs often keep food kind of, some of it's in the side of their mouth. Because if you ever watch them drink water, after they drink water, they're usually kind of chewing a bit. Probably because it got some hay that was sitting in their mouth moving around. So I just feel like tomato wouldn't be a good idea just for a random snack, because maybe it would sit in their mouth a bit too long and be sore. Again, I have no idea if that's an actual fact. I'm not a scientist, but that's what I feel like. Putting it with their morning veggies when they're eating lots and washing it down, I feel like is a good thing. Okay. So that's that. I just got to take up this stuff. Got to go get some more vegetables today and chop up my peppers and get stuff more prepared. So next thing I do down here in the morning, as I said, I can check waters now. So every cage has 2 water bottles. You would never just want one. One, so that pigs don't fight, and 2, if one were to malfunction, you want a backup. I've only ever had 1 water bottle in 7 years leak out, and it was one that I was already suspecting was leaking. It was a Living World bottle. It was for actually Apple and Huckle, and whenever I would screw the lid on when I would fill it, it was like the threading was kind of gone, because if you turned it too far, it would flip back around again. So it was never a complete seal. So finally, the one day after a couple of years, I don't know if I had it for 2 or 1 year, whatever I had it for, finally it just wouldn't stay closed and it leaked out. But I already half knew it was probably going to. So, but besides that, I've never had like a ball bearing get stuck. I've never had it crack or break. I just had that one that I already knew was crummy. So like these guys, they have 3 water bottles. Again, since Apple sometimes has a bit of the chalky or calcium come out, I really like to promote hydration for wherever she is in the cage. She can easily have a drink. So that's why 2 bottles are right beside the pellet dish. I find that's a great way so that when they're eating pellets, they also like to have a drink of water. Yeah, so I'm just gonna change some of these water bottles. And as I said, for Pecan's cage, or Pecan, she has 4 water bottles so that no matter where she is, she can have a drink too. And then I often give her some syringe fulls of water too, if she'll take it. And then I was also thinking another good reason to have 2 water bottles or more is say if something happened where you couldn't get home in time, like some kind of an emergency. And it'd be one small thing that you didn't have to worry about at home, was knowing that at least your pigs have lots of water. So next I'm going to fill up hay. So this bin is orchard grass from Oxbow. I get the 50-pound boxes and then just transfer it into these bins. These hay racks going this way have worked out really well. It's really easy for them to access hay, and it does keep a lot of waste from happening. Some of the pigs still have a bit of waste in the morning, as you'll see when I'm tidying up. These ladies are always the worst. I'm gonna switch this over. But it has stopped a lot of it from getting just peed on. And there's so many different spots for them to eat. Hi, bud. Are you back? So these girls are the only ones that still have it this way, because they don't take their hay out of the hay rack. They don't sit there and pull it all down. They just eat from it, like normal piggies should. And then these guys, I always just give them a pile because, as I've mentioned before, they don't go on top and pee on poop on it. They don't waste their hay. And Bun Bun here, he's actually been a very good boy. This is a crate pad from that Kong brand, so it's really heavy duty. The one day he decided to destroy absolutely all the fleece I had on the floor for him. I wanted to make sure I had places for him to hang out and be comfortable, and he would lay on his fleece that was under this table. But the one day he just, every single pad in here, he absolutely destroyed. So I wanted to find something that he wasn't going to wreck that would give him a soft place to lay. So far, he tried once. He had a little bite through this one part here, but fingers crossed, so far he's not attacked it again. So we'll see. Yeah, so that's our morning routine. Everybody is just going to finish up their veggies, eat some hay, and then they usually are off for a nap. Pecan's the one pig that you can notice the most that puffs up when she's eating veggies, and it's probably just so that nobody steals her food. She's a really food-oriented guinea pig. I know all guinea pigs, you know, food is their thing, but she is a very foodie person. Foodie piggy, sorry. Because even that day where she was so bloated she couldn't walk, she still ate her vegetables, which was insane, but great. Alright, little ladies. Love you guys. Love you, little pipsqueaks. Hey, Hux. You're so pretty. Yes, you are. Love you guys. Angus is getting quite large. He's getting almost up to bullseye size. He used to be so tiny. And when he was little, his ears looked like massive. He looked like Dumbo the elephant. But now he's grown into them. Where's Bun Bun? Oh, there he is. Hi, Bun. How's your nose looking? Can't really tell if it's better or not. It's hard to look to see how his nose is doing since it twitches. But we'll find out at the end of 2 weeks. Okay. I'll see you guys later.